Hi, in this Excel tutorial, we're going to go over how to use the index function in Excel and end with a couple of examples where we'll use the index match function combination. The index function returns a value from a specific location within a dataset. So let's take a look at what this means. On my screen is data containing a list of 5 associates under score. Let's create an index function that returns the score for the 4th associate. Think of this as returning the score displayed in the cell at the intersection of the row where associate 4 meets the column with the scores. These are also the 3 key pieces of information that the index formula will need: a set of data, a row, and the column where the result we want will intersect. We'll write equals index, and the first thing we'll do is select our data set. Next, we need to specify the row number within that data set. So in this case, it'll be row 4 because that's where the 4th associate's data is located. And next, we specify the column number, which in this case will be 2 because score is located in the 2nd column of our data set, and press enter. And we get back a result of 3. Now this was pretty straightforward, but you likely won't always know the number of where the row or column you need is located in your dataset. So if you recall from our tutorial on match, the match function returns a value that represents the location of a specific item within a selection, which is exactly what we need. So let's look at how you can combine the match function with the index function to help you quickly look up the information you need. And by the way, if you're finding this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for even more Excel tips. So here we have performance data by associate. We can also see which region each associate works in. We'll use the index and match functions to first return the performance by time period for the associate and then the associate's region. These 2 cells that are shaded are where the variables will need to be entered: the associate name and the time period. Now, because this will use what we type here to look through the data, it's important that there are no misspellings. So to help avoid inputting errors, we'll create a drop-down list. This will both make it easier for users to see what they can select and will limit the options that can be entered in the cell. So let's start with making a drop-down for the associate names. So from the Data tab, select Data Validation, and then List, and then Source, we'll select all the associate names. Also, FYI, my data is formatted as a table. There are several reasons why I like my data in table format, but a key thing here is that even though the source data is surrounded by $signs, by using a table, any new names added to the table will automatically be added to the dropdown. And this can be a huge help as associates get added to the team. And when done, click OK. And now we have a drop-down for our associate names. And we'll do the same thing for time period. And we'll select these time periods at the top and click OK. So we now have all the pieces of information we need to create our lookup using index and match. So let's select here an associate and a time period so that we can get a result right away after we input our functions. Here we'll type equals index, and the first thing we need to do is select our data. So I'm going to select just the entire data part of our table, and notice how Excel updates this to read table 1. So Excel assigns a reference to the various parts of tables, and that's where this is coming from. So comma, and the next thing we need to specify is the row where the data for our associate will be found. So here's where we'll insert our first match formula. So we'll type match, and we'll reference cell B1 because we need to match it to the store associate name. Then we'll highlight our associate names, and again notice how this updated here to reference the associate column. So just like with our drop-down, this table reference will help any new names that may be added later auto-populate into our lookup. So comma, and then we'll type 0 for an exact match, close the parentheses, and next we need to note which column to reference for the time period. So we'll insert another match function here, open parentheses, and this time we'll reference cell B2 with the time period. And this will look up across here. Now I could just select the quarters and the full year, but I'm actually going to select the entire header row. So like before, this match function now references the table headers, which will also help if new time periods are added. Comma, and we'll again type 0 for an exact match. We'll close the parentheses, press enter, and this gives us the performance results for our associate. Now, if we wanted to, we could have used VLOOKUP for this, since the data was to the right of what we were looking up. But you can use index match to look up data to the left. So let's look up the region so you can see. So we'll write equals index, and we can type table 1. Then for the row, we need to find which associate. So we'll again use a match function. We'll reference the associate name. And for the lookup array, we'll select the associate names again, and 0 for an exact match. We close the parentheses. Now for the column, we need the column to bring back the region. So we can't use a match function here because we don't know which region that's what we're trying to get back. So we'll type 1, since we know that region is the first column in our data set. And when done, press enter. And this lets us know that Associate Emerson is in the South region. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to use the index function in Microsoft Excel. If you did, please make sure to like the video and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks.